guys, we're back for another, quarantine edition of Hawk Talk. Obviously, we're still not back in our studio, but, we're making the best we can through Zoom.
Trying
I'm
to
Evan
anyway.
Cancer,
And I'm Coulter Hickok.
and we have a very special guest on our Zoom talk today. Coach Crawford, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you do here at DSU?
Yeah, so I'm from Washington State. I went to Montana Tech to play my college football, and that's where I graduated with a BS in business marketing. From there, I actually went and played overseas in Australia, and I was a player coach on contract overseas. I did that for 4 months. I came back to the States, coached high school football for a year, went back to Montana Tech in 2016, was a student assistant, and then from there, 2017 and 18 at Valley City State University as a defensive line coach and also a graduate assistant. And then from there, Montana Tech last year in 2019 as a defensive line coach. And then obviously this season I'll be with Dickinson State as a defensive line coach for football.
Wow.
And kind of on top of that quickly too, I am the resident director of student conduct for the school. So I'm a little bit multifaceted. I'm definitely not just a football coach. I take my role with the student conduct stuff very seriously.
Wow. I didn't. Okay. Well, first of all, so, we lightly stalk all of our new people coming on this show. I did not know like half of the stuff that you just said. So that is awesome. We are so excited to have you here at Dickinson, here coaching. Let's see. First of all, conduct officer or what?
Pretty much everything outside of expulsion will come through my desk. So.
Wow. And is it just here at the campus?
Yeah, for the university. Yep, here at Dickinson State University.
Wow.
Dang. Okay, that's really cool. So on top of coaching, you're just casually keeping everyone in check. So I mean, like your players are going to be a little bit scared to do anything on campus, then, right?
No, I think it's actually going to be a really good deal. I think a lot of times people think in terms of football as just football, right? And I think my job in being able to impact not just athletes, but being able to impact students too, right? The students here at Dickinson State are just as important as any athlete. We're all in this thing together. So I think having a job that encompasses both is going to be awesome.
Wow.
So, I mean, have you got a chance to meet any of the new players or anybody on the defensive line?
Yeah, so obviously we implemented Zoom meetings with our guys as soon as we could. As soon as we had our new staff and everyone intact, and it's been a really cool deal. So Coach Thier, our defensive coordinator, Jason Thier, he actually meets with the linebackers twice a week, and I meet with the D line twice a week, and then we actually sit in on each other's meetings. So I think the really cool part about that is that I'm able to see how he's coaching his guys and the words and what's being said in the linebacker room. And then vice versa, he's able to come to my room and hear what I'm saying to the D-line, and we're both able to give input all the way around. So I think in terms of being on the same page and communication level, not only have I been able to meet D-line, but I've also been able to interact a lot with the linebackers as well.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. It's obviously way different than being able to meet face-to-face. Have you seen any negatives from not actually getting to meet your players, face-to-face?
I don't think I would call anything. There hasn't been any negatives to it, but I can tell you from a personal standpoint, for me in coaching, it's all about the relationships. To be honest, we want to do a lot of things statistically speaking. For instance, last year at Montana Tech, we were top 10 in the nation defensively in almost every statistical category. But I will never tell anyone, that's not what I'm going to lead with. My time at Tech or wherever it is, it's always about the relationships you're building with the kids. So I guess that's a long-winded response to the part with Zoom that stinks is that not able to meet my guys face-to-face, not able to convey to them that I'm here for them. I'm here for them as a person. I'm here for them as a student. And obviously I'm here for them as a player too, and it's just tough to convey those things through Zoom because I'm just a face that they haven't had the opportunity to meet, right? But I think for me personally, that's what makes the future so exciting, right? When I get these guys here in person, it's on me to prove those things to them. And so it's going to be a tall order for me, but I'm ready for it. So
good.
It's really cool. I mean, you talk about building relationships. I mean, I'm looking on Twitter about every day, and I'm seeing you're handwriting letters to all of these recruits all over the world, and I'm seeing you doing these edits for him, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy is super. He just cares about building these relationships. I mean, what is like the driving force just behind that besides the building relationships?
Yeah, and I try and not be so long-winded, but I think for me, if you really want to take it back, my father played at the University of Washington, and he's got a Rose Bowl ring. So I grew up in a household where there's a Rose Bowl ring sitting around.
I
And
don't want to bring up anything, but I do have.
hey, you're the man. You're the man. It's Dickinson State and then Huskies too are very
Yeah.
strong too. But I bring that up just because when I was going through the recruiting process in the state of Washington, obviously I wanted to go to the University of Washington, right? I mean, I wanted to live a legacy. I wanted to play tight end there. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't in the cards for me. But it didn't mean that I wasn't a heck of a football player, that I wasn't a heck of a person, and that I couldn't really impact the university, right? But it really came down to us finding the right fit. And so I think a lot of times what you're finding when you watch me in recruiting is that I recruit the West Coast and where I'm from a lot. I mean, really, I'm able to convey to those guys that, hey, at the end of the day, if you're not D1, you have to start looking outside the state for options, right? And so for these guys, though, I think what people have to understand is that they want to feel like they are D1 as well, right? And what I'm trying to convey to them is that yes, I'm not the University of Washington, right? But if Jimmy Lake, the head coach at UW, really wants a dude, what's he going to do? He's going to call him as much as possible. He's going to text him. He's going to hit him with the coolest graphics. Down the line, he's going to try and show up at his doorstep for an in-home visit. Right? You're going to talk with parents. You're going to try and get them here for a visit. You're trying to do all these things, and so really, I'm just trying to replicate the process that the D1s have for us at the NAI level. Because to me, those guys are my five-star guys, right? So the guys that Rivals and 24/7 talks about all the time, that's the same energy I have from my guys, right? My guys are five-star guys. We do need you, right? We need you to elevate this thing. And so I think if you're able to convey those things to the kids, that's all they're looking for, right? They just want to feel the love and know that it's the right fit for them too. So
Absolutely.
Before we started this meeting, you did bring up that you're trying to kind of bring in a new, different kind of recruiting style to kind of reach further out than just Midwest, spread that word. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing a little different?
yeah, 100%. So I think what I'd like to say first off is that any good program, any good football program, is going to have a strong home base, right? So obviously, me being able to bring a little bit of a different piece and element to this, geographically speaking, what I want to make is, make the point clear is that you always have to have a home base around where you're at and where you're located. So for us, North Dakota and Eastern Montana will always be the two biggest recruiting areas for us, right? And that's how it should be, right? So we're always going to have a higher percentage of players that come out of those areas. Now, in terms of, I think what I'm able to bring to the table is that I think there's an excess of talent on the West Coast, and there's not enough affordable schools, right? So if you're a kid if you're a kid from the Washington State, for instance, okay, let's say that you're not University of Washington, you're not Washington State, you're not Eastern Washington, right? You take those three D1 schools away. If you're a Washington kid, all you're left with is Central Washington, which is a D2, and the rest of them are D3s. The D3s average about $60,000, $50,000 to $60,000 annually a year. So when I'm able to come in and say, hey, I'm Dickinson State and our price point is 11.5 and then tuition and fees for the year, right off the bat, before I tell you anything about facilities, tradition, coaching staff, the current players we have, you can already look at this thing from a mathematical equation and go, shoot, that's a heck of a deal, right? And so I think what I'm trying to bring is not an abundance of players from somewhere else, but X amount of the right guys, right? And the way that we look at that too, so someone might say, well, how could you cover so many areas? I saw that you're recruiting Washington, Oregon, Idaho, etc. Well, the nice part is that I'm not recruiting the whole state, right? My coaches say, hey, Coach Crawford, if you go to Washington State and you come back with one of the right guy for us, then it's a huge win, right? So I'm not playing a numbers game either. So how am I able to be so personable with recruits and to do the edits and to do the handwritten letters all the time? Well, there's only X amount of guys that I'm really recruiting. It's not a mass deal. It's just finding, X amount of the right ones.
That's really cool. We're excited to kind of see, some different players come in from different sides of, the world. So that'll be cool. I'm excited to see how that works out.
If you wanted some proof in terms of how it can be done, when I was at Valley City, in 2 years, I signed 16 young men from Western Washington to Valley City, North Dakota. Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at it from my lens, right, no offense, Valley City, great people. I tell everyone a capital L, love them. But the fact of the matter is, I know what we have here from a facility standpoint, a tradition standpoint, and how that compares. And if I could sign 16 great young men from the state of Washington in 2 years to Valley City, imagine what I think I can do at Dickinson State, right?
Wow. I love that, Coach. So, I mean, the stores, some of them are open, restaurants are closed but they're open for takeout. I mean, so what's your favorite part about Dickinson right now?
Yeah, so My mom's my best friend. I'm a mama's boy. And so when I actually came out here originally and took the job, I was able to get out here before the restrictions hit for COVID. So I was out here for maybe it was a week or so before everything really hit. And so actually my mother flew out here. Um, and so she was actually out here for a little bit with me. So again, long-winded, but we ended up getting to the crossing. So in terms of what I'm partial to, I love a good steak from the crossing. So
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and it must be kind of different for you, right? I mean, you came out here. Was this like one of your first times in Dickinson when you came out here?
yeah, so a kind of a unique part again, going back to my playing days. So I actually played here, I believe, the first year of the stadium construction. So I think it was 2012,
Oh.
somewhere in there. And so I actually played the first year that the entire, everything was built.
Hmm.
So I've seen Dickinson from afar, and I've been here a couple of times, and obviously coached at Valley City against Dickinson. But it's really unique to be here, and I think if I could just add quickly to that in terms of how that relates to recruiting too, I think a lot of those guys on the West Coast too, they never heard about us, right? So when Coach Crawford hits you up and you go, well, why is this dude from a school in North Dakota recruiting me? Right. Well, what I'm trying to convey to those guys is that when you hear North Dakota, you're already making presumptions, right? And
Right.
so you hear North Dakota, was that middle of nowhere? What is that, right? And so I think the flip side of that is that I try and tell people, okay, people are going to bash us about location, right? That's fine. But Dickinson, we have 25,000 people. We got every fast food chain, restaurant chain in America. We got every hotel chain in America. You got multiple movie theaters with leather recliners. You got an airport for mom and dad to fly into for games. This is not middle, 25,000 people. This is not middle of nowhere, right? I mean, I love this place. And I think it's really a cool place. And I think the West Coast guys, when they come out for visits, when they're able to see all this stuff in person, they're going to feel the same way too.
Perfect. So I know, Coach, that playing in the Frontier Conference and then coaching against us in the North Star Conference and coaching back in the Frontier Conference. I mean, you probably had a lot of presumptions about DSU, but now as a coach for DSU, I want to ask you, what does DSU mean to you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty passionate about this one, to be honest with you, man. And I have a lot of friends that coach in the Frontier, right? I played in the Frontier, two-time Frontier Conference champ. I mean, I've been at the highs and the lows. I played in the Frontier. We won one game one season, and like I said, I've won it twice too. So there's a lot of prestige, right? And I think in terms of the conferences, if you want to be honest, again, I relate everything to recruiting. So excuse me on that end, but when I tell people about, there's a difference in terms of maybe the North Star versus the Frontier, right? We tell everyone, shoot, I tell my guys, my recruits, yeah, the Frontier, that's the SEC of the NAI for sure, 100%. Give it to them. That's the SEC of the NAI, right? And if they're the SEC, what's that make the North Star? Well, let's say we're the Mountain West, right? Okay, we're Boise State, right? Because in my opinion, if you're talking to a recruit and they want to talk about prestige of conference, well, did Johnny really want to go to Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Mississippi State, or Ole Miss and get his teeth kicked in by Alabama, LSU, and Georgia every year? Um, you know what I mean? They can't always win it. So when you look at what we're doing here and using the Boise State model, we've won 5 straight conference championships. Who's won 2 in the Frontier? Last time it was done, I was still suiting up in the green and copper. So I can tell you it's not going to be done. And so for us to do what we've done in this conference 5 years in a row, it's just different to me. And what we're able to sell recruits and sell people on, it's just different. Now, in terms of, there's a lot of coaches that say, whatever our brand of football is, maybe in this conference, well, you can't judge us based upon what the other teams are doing, right? I'm not in control of how Mayville runs a football program or presentation, right? Our objective is to be playing our best football at the end of the year, right? And if you know NAI football, well, only the top 16 teams in America that finish in the national polls and the top 16 make the playoffs. So again, you want to talk about Frontier versus North Star. Well, these guys have said, hey, 5 years in a row now, we've punched a ticket to the big dance. 5 years in a row, we've had the opportunity to compete for a national title. In those same 5 years, not one Frontier school can say that twice. You see what I mean? So it's just different to me. And I love hearing the Frontier people talk about us and what our skill level is, because we can compete with any of those guys. And I love it, right? And I think that's the chip that I'm able to bring on my shoulder to this job, is that I want to prove to everyone that we're for real. I think a lot of people look back and say, oh, I remember when Dickinson State joined the Frontier. I was a player at Monte at the time in 2013, and they didn't win a game. A lot of people point to that and they go, oh, you guys couldn't contend then. Well, no offense. That's 2013 and 2012. This is 2020. Take a look at what our roster looks like, right? And again, 5 straight. Coach Stanton's been here for 6 years as the head coach, and he's won the conference every year outside of his first year here. He's got an overall record of 50 and 18. 2 years ago, we finished number 8 in the country. Last year, we finished 17th in the country, right? So I think, again, long-winded, but why am I excited about this job and proud to represent Dickinson State? I want to take this thing and elevate it to a level it hasn't been before, right? When I look at this job and I sell it to recruits, again, it comes back to, hey, these guys had a great tradition before Coach Crawford ever showed up. These guys did so many good things before Coach Crawford showed up. And the same thing for the recruits, right? Now, I think this is where they come in. I'm selling you on the vision of coming in here, and instead of, well, that, great time there, we were perennial conference champs. No, you came in here, and when you left, this place is a perennial national championship player, right? And so I think in terms of what my objective is to get there, is to reach that, right? And I think this is a place that can do it. There's very few places in America that can honestly tell you straight up that they're going to compete for a national championship. And 5 years in a row, we've proven that we're going to the big dance, right? We're going for 6 straight this year. If you're a recruit right now that's thinking about Dickinson State, you would theoretically be coming in here and competing to win 7 straight conference championships. 7! I mean, name me another college team in America that's won their conference 5, 6, 7 years in a row. I don't think you can. So.
Well, honestly, Coach, if I was able to still be recruited, you sold me right then and there.
It is really, really awesome to hear how excited you are. And honestly, it shows a lot about you as a coach and you as a person. And we are so excited to have you in this football community because football at Dickinson State is one of the biggest things you can be a part of. And I think it's going to really start showing your hard work here this fall. So we're excited to have you.
So, Coach, when I actually meet you, I'll get you one of these nice shirts that says I talk. You're going to sport that proudly. So thank you very much for coming on, Coach.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I apologize for the long-winded answers. As you can probably tell, I'm extremely excited to be here. This is just a great place, a great community, and you already know we've talked about the brand of football we play. It's elite. So.
Well, thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. We have another interview after this.
Hey guys, it's Tyler with Immovable Ministries here, and I'm so excited to be able to be the sponsor for this year's Hawk Talk. If you'd like to find out more about Immovable Ministries, you can visit our website at immovableministries.com.
And we're back with another guest. Claire, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do here at DSU?
Hi, I'm Claire Shoffett, and I am the grad assistant for the softball team.
Ooh, okay. So I'm sure that some of you
going from Claire to a little bit of a grad assistant.
What? I know we've had you on Hawk Talk before, obviously not with me and Coulter, but with Seth and Susanna. So, obviously you've made that transition this past year from player to coach. How has that gone for you?
It was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning. It's different because I played with a lot of them, so just getting used to the players had to learn my role and I had to learn my role, but it definitely I really started to enjoy it towards the end.
Good. Did you have any hard power struggles, or was it more just kind of finding a way to coach your friends?
It was a little bit of both, if that makes sense. I didn't want to overstep, and sometimes I did overstep, and it was just trying to find that healthy balance of that. A grad assistant is good because you do still have that connection and what it feels like to be a player, but then you're also a coach. So it's just finding that balance.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself being a player with a whistle, meaning that you were harder on the position that you played as catcher, or were you more understanding and be yeah, this is how you have to do it. You have to do the correct steps in order to just be good?
It was a little different because I caught my 2 years here at Dickinson, and we didn't really have a true catcher going into the season. We had a girl that like caught in high school, and she was a JUCO transfer, and then a couple other position players that were transitioning and like becoming catchers more so say. So like, yeah, I was tough on them, but I think that I like even when I was playing, I'm just more of a vocal person and I just say how I feel, and I think they just know me and they know that it's all out of love. So yes, I was tough, but I'm also understanding that they're learning, and they did such a good job. Like you would, if you looked at our team play, you would never know that they hadn't caught in a really long time or had never caught at all.
Yeah. And so the softball team had a little bit different of, a job coming into COVID because you guys obviously got to go down to Arizona, and then there in Arizona you had your season canceled. So can you tell us kind of what that was like to hear that?
So like our first day there, we got rained out, and then the teams kind of just kept dropping like flies from the tournament. And so we ended up, I think, playing one other team that wasn't in our conference. And then we played one or two other teams, and we played 6 games, and they were against Mayville and Waldorf. So we played a lot of conference games that weren't conference games. And we kind of just told them that you kind of have to take it day by day, and we can't worry about our season getting canceled. We have a mission to accomplish today. And I think they responded really well. I mean, the record reflects it. We didn't lose a game in Arizona. They just took the best out of the situation. I'm really proud of them.
And I mean, you guys did have some games under your belt. I mean, you guys went to 2 tournaments in Aberdeen, South Dakota. So I mean, is there anything that I lost my train of thought on that question? wasn't 100% on that, but I know that I was really upset as I heard that the NAIA just canceled all the spring sports. I know that the girls were going to have a huge number of home softball games, like more than they had in the past. I mean, what was their reactions as the team when they figured that or when they found that out?
I mean, of course they were bummed. It just sucks that we worked all year to get to the point where we're at, and we played our first 12 games were in domes, like indoors, which softball is not an indoor sport. So right when we were about to actually play real true softball, our season got canceled. But we were just making the light of the situation, resting our bodies. We did have a few injuries on the team, so now it's just all about getting healthy so that when we go to next year, we're going to be as strong as we can.
So with the rest of your season kind of being canceled, have you guys been doing workouts, or have you guys been staying together as a team?
We've been doing Zoom calls, and we've been trying to like keep our social media active. Like we've been making TikToks and
definitely seen the TikTok.
I've been becoming quite the TikTok pro.
You are becoming TikTok famous as I've seen the Easter TikTok that you had previously recorded.
Hey, that has like 20,000 likes, so I think I'm pretty TikTok famous.
Dang, okay.
Just get you that little blue check mark right there.
Oh, yeah.
Subtle flex. Where were we just at? What were we just talking about? I just got all caught
talking about how we're staying connected.
Being in touch.
Yeah. Are you any other ways? I mean, like the Zoom calls, workouts, all that fun stuff? We
haven't really set up a workout program yet just because the gyms aren't open, and a lot of the girls don't really have transportation because they've been stuck in the house. But I'm sure we'll have something once everything starts to open back up and they'll get active.
Awesome. So we were also we've been trying to do this senior spotlight thing here on Hawk Talk. And so we're like, oh, softball must have a few seniors. You guys had no seniors coming in.
Seniors.
Amazing start of your season. So how excited are the girls coming into next season, coming back in with the same team?
I think it's like that's such a blessing in disguise almost for us because we had no seniors, and then all of like our transfers and stuff that we're getting are coming in as sophomores. So we're going to have pretty much the same team for the next couple years, like maybe add a few players here and there, but like I'm really excited to watch this team grow.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And like you said, I think this is probably the best time for this to have happened. I mean, not that this is ever a good thing to happen, but it seems like it was the best time and the best opportunity for the softball team. So that's exciting.
So, I mean, we're going to get back to softball, but let's talk about you for a second, Claire. I mean,
Oh gosh.
what are you doing in this quarantine?
What'd you say?
What have you been doing in this quarantine?
I've been really bored, Coulter. I work for the admissions office at DSU, so I have been doing a lot of paperwork and meeting with students during the day, basically staring at a screen. But I'm actually in Florida with my family, so I've got to enjoy a couple pool days with my little niece and nephews. But besides that, just living that quarantine life.
Yeah, but I mean, in Florida doesn't sound like it's that bad. It seems like you're just relaxing.
Well, the beaches closed the day I got here, and they're opening up the day after I'm leaving. So
That's so unfortunate.
it is very unfortunate.
Oh, dang it.
And then I want to talk about your time as alumni at Sierra College. I mean, you guys just had recently a draft
Yeah, Brandon.
there. I mean, how does that feel to know or did you know this person?
Yeah, I knew him.
So how does it feel to know that, yeah, I knew that guy and he's now going to be in the NFL?
It's just so crazy because, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was, first round draft pick. And it's to the 49ers, and I'm a huge 49ers fan, so I was super excited.
Does that mean you're going to get a jersey?
I probably will get a jersey.
All the
I
work-
really wanted a Nick Bosa jersey, but I think I have to represent the Sierra fam.
For sure. For sure. Let's see. I think that's all the questions we had. I know it's kind of a different, you've been in the studio, now we're doing the Zoom call. It's pretty different, right?
It's very different.
Yeah, but kind of cool. I mean, I'm in North Dakota, Coulter's in Montana, and you're in Florida, so I point down. I don't know why I'm compared to you.
You're above me, so.
Oh, good. Okay.
Ellie and I tried to give Knuckles the other day, and we watched, and my fist went that way. And
It's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely a lot of adjustments during this time. But I know that you've been asked this before since you have been on Hawk Talk before, but we love asking everyone on this show this question. But what does DSU mean to you?
DSU means family. I love it. You can just walk down the halls and you know everyone, and everyone actually truly cares about you. And the community support that DSU has is unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just people can watch your Hawk Talks from the tailgate. That is just a perfect example of how many people come out just to support the football team, and that's 2 hours before the game even starts. They're there.
Yeah, and I think that's an answer that almost everyone gives, and it's I think that's what it means to me too. And so even staying a
Me as
family
well.
through all this quarantine, I think it's been awesome to see. But
so, Claire, since you didn't get a shirt the last time you were on, next time I see you, you're going to get one of these bad boys right there, the iFluent.
Oh, nice.
Only select club have.
yeah, it'll
Can
be
you
next.
put a verification check mark on the shirt?
I could.
Oh,
Verified.
I think you just brought up the new shirts for next year, Claire.
yeah, exactly. But Claire, thank you again for coming on. We're looking forward to see the softball team continue to grow next fall, and then we're going to be out at all the softball games next spring. So
Awesome.
I definitely will be.
yeah,
You
we'll be
always
back.
are, Coulter.
Always.
#1 fan. So are you, Ellie.
I'm always there. All right. Well, thank you very much, Claire.
Yes.
Ellie and I will be right back with a recap right after this.
Here come your Bulldogs. Steps into the throw, in the wind, down to the goal line, and caught! Touchdown, Blue Hawks!
Hi, Coulter.
Hi, Ellie.
You're in North Dakota. Where are you at?
Montana.
Oh, still cool.
Yeah.
Cool to be over here. Just kidding.
I'm actually planning on going to North Dakota here very soon. We should be hearing the rec is going to open either on the 1st or on the 4th of May. So I'm excited to get back over to North Dakota. I'm excited to see all my friends. But a little bit of recap right now. We had Coach Crawford on. If I was able to be recruited right now, he made me want to run through a brick wall. That's how I'm excited about football for right now.
It made me want to go put on a helmet and play. Do you play
Made
football?
me miss everything that I'm missing right now in quarantine. It's seeing everybody, being involved in the tailgates, Blue Hawk Game Day,
Mhm.
get them on. So, Coach Crawford, I know you're going to watch this, but we're going to get you on for Blue Hawk Game Day one of these days.
Yeah.
Also, we had Claire.
Yeah, Claire is awesome. She talks some about softball. We are so excited to see what they're going to continue to do with that team that won't lose any players. So like,
No, which is perfect.
especially after
Awesome
going,
for them.
yeah, especially after dominating in that Arizona tournament. So it was kind of cool to see a player transition to a GA successfully and have like respect as a coach, because I've only heard good things about her. So that's exciting too.
Also, both of our guests never have gotten these beautiful shirts that are behind me. So we promised them that we're going to have to get them a shirt. And those are sponsored by Immovable Ministries and the DSU Heritage Foundation. We want to thank everybody who's involved with those organizations. Without them, we wouldn't be able to bring the show to you.
No, we wouldn't be here right now.
So we want to thank you, the viewer. We want to thank the sponsors. We want to thank our guests. I thought those interviews were very, very good.
Yeah.
They were great. I loved every single minute of them.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know, I love seeing, like, seriously, the pride. Like, Coach Crawford has been here, all of 2 months, maybe, and he has that much Blue Hawk pride. So it just shows, like, how much people love Dickinson and how much people love this community. And so I loved hearing from both of them. Also, the schools just announced, I just saw an article somewhere, that we're reopening for face-to-face classes this fall. Woohoo!
Yeah, we did the same thing again.
I loved it. But it is so exciting. I can't tell you how excited I am to go and sit by people again and be able to talk to them, because like right now I'm just talking to myself, and like it gets a little weird sometimes,
Well, we're talking back and forth right now.
Yeah, but like technically I'm talking to myself. Like I'm sitting in an empty room right now by myself.
So am I. But I'm excited to get back into our studio with our producer, Ron. Ron's going to watch this later, and I'll send in the blooper clip. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to the sponsors. And are we ready?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay.
With that,
Hawks are up.
so close. We almost got it.
Oh, we had it. Okay.
Bye, Ellie.
Bye.